Hello there! Did you order a super easy game with barely any difficulty or challenge to it? Yeah, that looks about right. I want a real challenge. I want to die 50 times before I beat the boss fight. Okay, maybe not. Difficulty in gaming is all over the place. You got games that are easy, games that are hard, and then games with like a bunch of different difficulty levels. Why does there need to be so much? Well, let's look at an easy game. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker is a 3D platformer where you can't jump. You have to figure out how do I get all the way up there. Yeah, this game's not hard. This game has simple controls, intuitive gameplay, and in general is a pretty easy game, with only a few levels actually being somewhat hard. Now you might be thinking, that sounds lame. Well, let me tell you something. You're wrong, because while this game is really easy, that doesn't mean it's bad or has zero merit to it. In fact, I'd say this is a great game. Now what about a game series that has both easy games and a hard one? Well, look no further, because right here I have half of all the 3D Super Mario games, and this has quite interesting variety in terms of difficulty. Super Mario Galaxy is easy. The level design is very linear, the enemies aren't hard if you just use this spin attack, and the boss fights are easy to understand as well as easy to carry out and beat. You see, this is one of the best games of all time, and doesn't need to be very challenging to be that way. So why is its predecessor so stinking hard? Super Mario Sunshine, aka my second favorite game of all time, is hard. Now I'm not saying this game is super hard and that more casual video game players can't play this, but compared to other Mario games, man, this is difficult. Not only are the boss fights and enemies really annoying to deal with, but there are certain levels that take away your Flood Pack, which is a platforming device you can use to shoot water and hover above the ground. And these levels are difficult. So many moving platforms and variables that make it difficult to get to the end. In general though, Super Mario Sunshine isn't that hard, especially when you have Flood, but it's definitely more difficult than any of the other Mario games. You know, if you really want a challenge, there's always the Souls games. The Souls series of games are the definition of hard. The combat is difficult to get good at, and the enemies you have to fight are unpredictable and deal heavy damage when they hit you. And the boss fights, oh my, this is hard. The bosses always move so fast, have a bunch of different moves, and they make it so hard to get close enough to hit them and do actual damage. Yeah, Elden Ring is hard, but the thing is, it was designed that way. The controls, the enemies, really everything was designed to be hard. And that's what makes it so special. It was meant to be hard. And while so many people ask for an easy mode in these games, I honestly couldn't imagine it that way. I could only imagine it the way it is. Hard, fun, and crazy. Plus, you can just pick a magic class. But what about games with more than one difficulty? Well, let's start with my favorite game of all time. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild at the start had only one difficulty, but then they released DLC for the game that came with a bunch of different stuff, including Master Mode. Now the regular difficulty is both pretty easy at times and pretty hard at times, but that's all I can really say about it. Master Mode kicks it up a notch and is way more difficult. First off, you get stronger enemies from the start, and what tops it all is that they regenerate health when you're not attacking them. And man, this ups the difficulty. Another game with multiple difficulties that I thought of is Horizon Zero Dawn. Why do I need so many options? This has lots of difficulty options, with some being incredibly easy and some being a nightmare to play. Basically, the different difficulties change how much damage you take, as well as how much damage enemies take. So on easy mode, you take not that much damage, and it doesn't take that many hits to kill an enemy, and it's just lame. The difficulty settings don't alter that much besides the player and computer health, and doesn't feel interesting or special on most of the difficulties, because it doesn't feel like it's designed for it. It feels like a quick fix to make there be a ton of difficulties for different types of players, and while it doesn't feel like it's designed for these difficulties, I still think it's pretty good to have options. You see, the thing about difficulty in gaming is that it has to be geared towards the target audience. Kids games have to be super easy and serious games have to be challenging, and whether or not the developers design the difficulty towards the target audience is not always set in stone, but generally it is well designed towards the target audience. Well, that was a brief look at difficulty in gaming, and I've now decided that Elden Ring is impossible.